Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's Walker Memorial Trophy for Race 6 from the Tokyo East Outer Loop. Yes, that is the East Outer Loop. Let's take a quick look at the current championship standings. SGP leading the way 94 points, while Steve F1 and Mitch are both tied second on 76 points. Demon R 1 point behind them on 75. We've then got Twilight just ahead of Fluffy, who's a little bit ahead of Dave the Harp, and then we've got a little bit of a gap to Bunsel and Jimmy, who are joint 8th, and SRI rounding out the top 10. We've then got Gary, Rich Blues, Tyler, Jason, Conrad, Hay and Groover going from 11th to 17th. Right, as is the way in this championship, the grid is formed by the current championship standings order. So, once again, SGP will be on pole position, and he'll be joined on the front row by Steve F1. On row 2, we've got Mitch, and he'll be joined by Demon R. Row 3 sees Twilight start alongside Fluffy, and on row 4, we've got Dave the Harp in a new livery alongside Bunsel. Bunsel having some of his high starting places in the championship this season. Jimmy is in 9th alongside Gary in 10th, with Rich Blues 11th, Tyler 12th, and forming up the last row of the grid we have Conrad alongside Hay. Unfortunately, SRI and Jason and Groover unable to make today's race. So let's crack on. Let's head over to the commentary team. And joining me on commentary today is Gary. Gary, I hope you're well and looking forward to the madness around Tokyo.
Yeah, I'm alright, Dave. Hey, who's that? Right, get out. You're banned.
I don't know what SRI is doing in the commentary box. He's meant to be on the racetrack, so I'm guessing that means he's not going to be making the race today. SGP though is, and he's on pole position as the lights go out and away they go, and it looks like a good start from SGP and from Mitch, but Steve F1 has actually got a run on SGP and Gary for the first time ever. DGT League starting a race in a tunnel.
Yeah, you can't beat a bit of tunnel vision, can you? Get the words out.
Yeah, tunnel vision, tongue-tied, all of them, and the above. I can't believe we actually managed to do that twice in a row. Steve F1 has got a run on SGP. Is he going to be able to make the move though? Because here comes Mitch. Mitch having a look, but nowhere to go. And here comes Demon R now, having a look up the inside. And in the background we've got somebody into the barrier. Oh, is he going to get stopped in time? No, he's taken out Mitch, and I think that may cause a little bit of carnage. Yeah, he's carrying on in the background. Oh, a bit of a disaster there, Gary.
Yeah, plenty of carnage as usual in the DGT League. Well, that's what we like, as long as it's reasonably fair.
Fair carnage, yeah, that's true. Okay, Demon R's having a bit of a look on SGP here. Now, for anyone that's not sure, we are on the Tokyo East Outer Loop here today, and this corner these guys are going through is one of the trickiest corners on this particular track, especially when there's that many cars heading through the corner. And the thing is, Gary, around this type of track, if you clunk the wall, good chance you're going to be clunking a few cars that are behind you as well.
Yeah, you sure are you going to collect a lot of others beyond, because it'll definitely massively catch people out.
And it will. Demon R's lost a bit of time to SGP, and here comes Dave the Harp. You may notice Dave the Harp in a different level. Oh, Demon R's gone wide. That's going to allow Dave the Harp around the outside. That's a lovely move for him if he's make sure he doesn't hit the barrier anyway. Demon R's coming back at him a little bit. They're side by side as they make their way down to the second trickiest corner on this track. They're hairpin. SGP still not attacking Steve F1 yet, but Dave the Harp is up the inside. But Demon R's gone round the outside with brakes glowing. If Dave the Harp ever needs a light and his lighter packs up, he can always just spark up off his brake disc, and Demon R does manage to retake the place.
Yeah, it can definitely spark up, or someone will be sparking up on the opposite side of the barrier. As you can see on the straight here, this the tracks on either side, so we can.
Hey, hang on, sorry, Gary. Hay's sat on the grid. He's not moved. Oh, this is a disaster.
Oh, someone give him a shout. What's happened? Has he stalled it? Is the pit crew out? Is he going again?
No, he's not going yet. Rich Blues, though, is into the pits. The whole field is coming past Hay. Oh, that is that old. I think someone might need to wake him up. Okay. Oh, SGP having a look at Steve F1 down in towards turn 1. Down in, up the hill towards turn 1. But he's not gone for it. He's not got. Gary, you know, that signifies something very important to me when it comes
fuel saving.
You're not meant to cut me off and do that. I was going to say that. You make out, you know exactly what you're talking about now. Bloody hell.
Well, I do occasionally.
Well, some people might not get why I'm laughing at that. You will eventually. Oh, side by side, heading nearly towards the left-right chicane, which is quite a quick corner. But if you're side by side, it's going to be tricky for you. Mitch, Fluffy, going side by side into it. Can they get it slowed down in time? Yes, they can. But Gary, big sideways behind them, and Bunsell is there on the attack as well.
Yeah, we're on the Tokyo track, so we like a bit of drifting. So I thought I'd just add that bit in there for the excitement.
Aye, and one.
And that one as well. You can see there.
Yeah. Just to let you know, Hay is now on the move. I can see it on the track map. So he is now at the wheel of his car. He's lucky he didn't roll backwards down the grid there. Demon Eyes coming under a lot of pressure from David Hart. But yeah, you mentioned about the fuel saving, Gary. A lot of cars into the barrier there. This track. SGP, is he going for the move? No, I think he's out brake. That was a mistake. That was a big mistake there.
Yeah, it's a rare mistake there from SGP, but you just need to compose yourself and get back into it, and I'm sure he'll be back in front soon.
Yeah.
With how fast he's been throughout the season so far.
Yeah, he's definitely been the fastest driver over the course of the championship. Dave Hart, it looked like his brakes were going on a straight then, but he's got a decent amount of slipstream on the back of Demon Eye. You may notice as well that David Hart is in a different livery today. He has been granted permission. I'd say nothing. He's got him. He's going for the move around the outside then of Demon Eye towards turn 1. And to be fair, for Demon Eye, it would make sense to not fight David Hart too much, especially if Dave the Harp seems to have a bit of pace here today, because if Dave can catch up the cars ahead, then that could make a bit of a mess of SGP's fuel saving plan as they go side by side. Yeah, Demon's just tucked in, heading into turn 2, and there we've got Fluffy and Gary and Bunsell. So Fluffy and Gary going side by side through 1, through 2, Bunsell sideways through 2.
Yeah, and there's always plenty of action when it's Fluffy and Gary side by side, and especially with Bunsell behind, anything could happen.
Yeah, definitely could do. Conrad there as well, and Jimmy closing in. I think he's too wide. Heading up to this, the left-right chicane, Gary could get messy. SGP was still close to the back of Steve F1, and yeah, he's definitely fuel safe. This track is the highest fuel-burning circuit we've been on in this championship. So fuel saving is a must unless you're going to pit, but you kind of have to make that choice before the race, don't you, Gary? Because if you're going to pit, you may as well burn up your fuel and go for it. If you're not going to pit, you have got to be saving from the start. That's ever so close, 3 wide.
Yeah, and if you're going to be saving, you've also got to be quick, doing a lot of lifting and coasting, and not be losing out on pace as well. But people are behind are going flat out. It's going to be hard to keep them behind if you fuel saving.
Exactly. That's a good point. If you are lifting and coasting and others behind are not there pushing it, it does make things a little interesting, as Gary has still got Fluffy all over the back of him, and then Conrad and Bunsell as we see the cars on the other side of the track. Gary's going in deep. He's not too deep though. Yeah. No.
Yeah, I've noticed.
Connor just binned it in the background.
Oh, that's unfortunate there for Connor. But yeah, I've noticed a nice wide entry into that hairpin. You seem to get a nice drive out the corner, and there's a few different approaches you can do in that corner. There's second, there's third, there's fourth, or even SGP said fifth. I think it's full of shit on that one, but
he might be. But you know what? SGP is all over the back of Steve F1 once again, and Dave the Harp has closed in on them. So SGP is going to have to be careful. He can't hang about, even if he is doing a bit of fuel saving, because if Dave gets in on this as well, it could bring Demon R. Steve F1 went a little bit defensive. Demon R into the barrier. This is really closing them up now. This could get absolutely fascinating as this race goes on. Fluffy still surrounded by mental men. We've got Bunsell and Gary. Bunsell going for the move up the inside into 2, but a bit of contact and into the barrier. Fluffy goes. That's going to let Gary through.
Yeah, that's unfortunate there, but it looks like Bunsell should really give that move, that position back. But whether he has or no, I can't see on the track map there. No.
I don't think he's
it doesn't
yet.
look like there's no backing out Bunsell. There's only one thing he knows, and that's it.
horses. Pedal to the metal and horses. What I will say though, I mean, there is something I want to touch on regarding the walls and this track. I may not be able to get to talk about it until the end of the race. We'll see if I get time as the race goes on. But Steve F1 is coming under a lot of pressure here from SGP. SGP has got David Hart right up his gearbox, and Demon R isn't quite able to keep pace with him at the moment. But David Hart, for me, has done a brilliant job here closing the gap. Or maybe Steve F1 is doing a bit of fuel saving as well and trying to back SGP into Dave the Harp, which is an interestingly good tactic to perhaps try.
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting point there, Dave. But Dave the Harp has been on very good pace this race so far, and especially with him. I know he's got a bad back at the moment, so yeah, he's doing really well. He's got a bit of an injury.
Fluffy and Bunsell still battling it out. Bunsell managing to stay ahead, and right behind them we've got Twilight and Jimmy, and formerly Gary has just passed Jimmy as SGP is closing in. Dave the Harp, look how much time he's lost down the straight.
I know, that's massively. I've noticed in the race that certain parts you get such a big toe, but then obviously you lose out, and whether you've got to be in a certain amount of distance to get the toe to do the overtake, or if you're just outside that window within 5 tenths, you just you can't catch the car in front.
Twilight trying to make a move on Bunsell here. I mean, yeah, it is usually about 5-6 tenths of a second you need to be. Twilight up the inside, is it? Oh, Bunsell's going wide. Oh, that's not quite Tokyo drift, it's more Tokyo scratching me paint off. Oh, but he's just tank slapped into Twilight.
Yeah, we like a Bunsell drift. He's always there for a bit of excitement, Buns.
That he is. Twilight's definitely lost a lot of ground there after that bit of contact, as well as Mitch on the recovery drive, closing in on Tyler now. We're not seeing Tyler much in this race because he's kind of been a bit of a loner there in 5th place. Can't quite keep pace with the leading 4, but has got more than enough pace to stay ahead of the pack behind. But here comes Mitch making the move towards the left, right chicane, is it? No, it's not. They're a bit further on round the track.
Yeah, the chicane, it's got such a lovely flow. If you get the braking right, and it's just got a real nice flow into them sections of chicanes. Lovely.
Yeah, I can't get my words out either. Yeah, there is a beautiful flow through around most of this track, to be honest. But once you're under pressure or you're side by side with someone, it can make things very, very difficult. I mean, my sense of direction isn't that good anyway. At the best of times, I mean, Christ. A few years ago, right, my wife absolutely mentally mad with me, right, because I got no sense of direction. So I packed up my stuff and went right.
Fuck. There's no ways for that. It's just no ways. I mean, just myself on a daily basis, Dave, I'm just going out the front door after putting the sat nav on.
Yeah, I can imagine that being true, actually. SGP closing in. Well, I say closing in. He's been this close to Steve F1 since the first corner. He is literally just sitting there, and I think he's playing games with Steve F1 at the moment, you know.
Yeah, I mean, whether he's fuel saving to a certain degree, and then he's going to, see what pressure he can put Steve under and just drive off into the distance. I'm not sure what SGP's tactics is going to be today. Is it going to be fuel saving all the way to the end with no pits? It's possible.
Well, with that, I think, Demon R is all over the back of David Hart once again. I think there's only really one person on this grid that can fuel save and be fast, and that's SGP. I don't think anybody else on the grid at the moment can fuel save and be fast enough to lead the race. I mean, I know Steve F1 is leading at the moment, but it does appear to be because SGP is allowing him to lead at the moment. Oh, David R into the barrier, a few sparks. Demon R up alongside him. That's the move done.
Yeah, here David forgot his lighter, so just fancied sparking up there and just put the window down, and then he's going to be back on it again now, putting the pressure under Demon R. No messing about.
He just needs to make sure he doesn't do what he did when he had a go on the 3D headset when he was driving, flicked his bag out of the window, completely forgetting he sat in his house.
Bunsell, is it Bunsell? Oh no, is it Conrad?
It was Conrad.
Yeah, Conrad and Formula Gary.
Bumping
still
doors.
Bumping doors. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
That's not what you said on Thursday. Gary into the barrier once again.
I know.
I mean, one of the things I will say is, Fluffy's all out of shape. Can he get that stopped without killing anybody? I think everyone's done well to avoid him there. Conrad making the move around the outside of Gary. Jimmy all up Gary's bumper. And I think Rich Blues is there as well. Oh, yeah, he is tank slapping behind Jimmy. But yeah, I mean, once again, SGP, he's so close to Steve F1 that if he wants to go for the move, he can. This is the thing. This is what says to me he's toying with Steve F1 because he's going for it now. Is he
going for it now? Yeah, he's that's it. He sent it. He's licked the stamp and he's well and truly sent it. Oh no, but Steve F1's coming back.
I'm wondering if SGP. I don't think that was an intended overtake there. With the way that his car sort of speared to the right and he clipped. I think he may have missed his braking point on that one. Yeah, a bit of brain fade. Well, I mean, his missus would say a bit of brain fade for him is an intelligence boost. And that's a joke I didn't even have written down. I'm going to get in so much trouble for that one, but at least Claire will like it. So I've got so many things that I'm trying not to say while I'm on camera. David Hart, while I've been messing about, has been able to get back ahead of Demon R. But yeah, I think SGP, I think he just got his braking wrong into turn 1 and thought, you know what, not quite a fair overtake, that one. He'll want to do it cleanly. David Hart, though, has managed to pull away from Demon R and close in on SGP. So this race is definitely not over for the likes of David Hart and Demon R. But I am concerned about whether Steve F1 fuel saving, SGP fuel saving, because I'm sure Steve F1 knows that SGP is toying with him, so Steve F1 will be saving fuel where he can. But I'm just wondering whether David Hart and Demon R are fuel saving or not, because if they are, great. If they're not, it just goes to show how hard they're having to try to stay with those guys, but they're going to have to pit at some point. This, though, is absolutely bonkers. 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I've noticed the last couple of races, the pack is so tight and it's very, very similar pace, and that's why you can see that very, very close together. They're all on very, very similar pace on the lap times.
Yeah, Demon R got a run on Dave the Harp here, heading up towards turn 1. Side by side they go. Once again, SGP doesn't go for it, and Demon R doesn't go for it on this occasion. I'm wondering why would he not go for it? If it was fuel saving, he'd have been doing that from earlier on.
Yeah, that's very, it's an interesting point there, Dave. But maybe he's just thought, no, it's not quite the right time. But he looks very close to Dave now. He's looks like he's itching to get past now. So we'll see in the next lap or so whether he gets past Dave the Arp.
Maybe
whether they pick.
There could be something else to this as well, in that Demon R hasn't been able to catch up to SGP and Steve F1, but Dave the Harp on a couple of occasions now, being in third place, has been able to close that gap. So maybe that's what Demon R's thinking. It's like, well, let Dave go and catch him up, and hopefully he'll pull him along with him. The problem is Dave is scratching a few barriers at the moment and losing a little bit of time to those leading two, so maybe he's focusing a little bit too much in his mirrors. We'll see how that battle carries on. Mitch and Tyler, they both just had a bit of a moment into the barriers, but no change of position for them. But just to let you know, the pack at the moment is 7th, Conrad down. Dave the Harp having a look up the inside. Trying to defend up the inside. Can't quite get it done, but I think Demon R's gone deep, and that's going to allow Dave the Harp to have a look up the inside. But it's a slow exit going up the inside in the hairpin.
Yeah, and looks like Demon R's, he's into P3 now, and that's it. So let's see what Demon R can do now. Let's see if he can catch up to SGP in the next few laps. Yep. Let's see what his pace is like.
I was just having a look over the road and seeing the pack, and here it is. Conrad in 7th, formerly Gary 8th. Twilight up the inside. Conrad's gone big time deep.
Oh, Oh yeah, that's very, very, very deep there for Conrad.
Yeah, so now we've got Formula Gary leading this pack with Conrad right behind him. Oh, and Dave the Arp right behind Demon R. Is he going for the move or is he bump drafting him? I think he's bump drafted him. He's backed off. He's backed off into the braking zone.
Yeah, so maybe Dave the Arp's going to try the opposite reverse psychology now, see if that he can use Demon R to catch up to SGP.
Yeah, maybe. Mitch and Tyler heading through turn 1. Tyler's got a good run. No, he's not. He's into the barrier. So easily done that. I mentioned earlier on, Gary. Oh, that's Mitch. He's gone deep and into the barrier. I was going to mention something. Oh, my goodness. I'm not going to mention it now because look at this. This is heading towards turn 1. Conrad side by side with Formula Gary.
And I think... Wow. They've all just about made it through.
I thought Gary had gone well deep then, but no, he managed to only just clip the barrier. Tyler's managed to get ahead of Mitch. So with those two clunking the barriers a little bit, they've been costing each other a little bit of time, but it's still a cracking battle between the two of these. As Tyler's gone a bit wide there, into the barrier he goes, and Mitch, nowhere he could go, into the door, into the wall. Tyler goes and Mitch is through. But that kind of hints at what I was going to mention though, Gary. Tyler's made a tiny little error there, ran a touch wide. There's nowhere he can go other than wall. And then Mitch comes round the corner, he's trying to avoid him, gets a little bit of understeer, and there's nothing he can do. In trying to avoid Tyler, there's a bit of contact, and then Tyler ends up in the wall again. Now, some people would look at that and go, oh, well, Mitch, that's an unfair overtake from Mitch. Well, from that view I just had, I'd say no. Mitch is doing everything he can to avoid Tyler, but unfortunately can't. Tyler's the one that's hit the wall first. Now it'd be different if Mitch hit Tyler into the wall and that was the first action, but that's the thing with sometimes a street circuit like this, in that so much can happen with those walls. And we mentioned earlier on, if one person tags a wall, it can collect numerous people behind them, and it can be a big knock-on effect. Oh, Tyler into the pits. He's definitely not fuel saving because we're only just nearly halfway through the race, and he's only got 30% of fuel left. He'd need to have 40 or more.
Yeah, so Tyler's definitely pushing hard, so that releases Mitch now, so he's not going to be messing about. And let's see if he can catch up to Dave the Arp. We've got here Bunsall 3 wide with Formula Gary and Twilight.
No, it's Fluffy Planet and Twilight.
Fluffy Planet, that's it. I haven't got my glasses
Gary's
on, but there
just
we go.
behind him.
Fluffy Planet, Fluffy Gary. Same thing.
Somebody else was into the pits then as well. So Tyler has managed to come out in 6th, crucially for him, ahead of the pack. Is that him? Yeah, look how close that is. Tyler, he's deep into turn 1 though, but that's crucial for him to have come out ahead of the pack. If these guys need to pit, it may not be for another 10 minutes or so. I mean, this is another interesting feature I'll get onto in a bit. As Bunsell side by side with Rich, bit of contact between the two of them. Twilight's still there as well, with Jimmy all over his rear end. This is absolutely mental bonkers madness. I mentioned earlier on, Gary, that there's a couple of tricky corners around this track, and to be honest, there's not many overtaking places around this track because a lot of it is such high speed.
Yeah, and there's a couple of corners. There's the left-hander going through the chicane. Obviously, there's the main straight, but you've got to get a good toe early on to make the overtake nice and clean before the right-hander. But like you say, Dave, the hairpin as well. If people go wide there, and you can take advantage there. But there's only a couple of places. And obviously, like you said before, if someone goes a bit too deep, it's the barrier, you're going to collect the person behind because I've literally got no time to react to it.
Definitely. Demon was making a move to the pits. Yes, he is into the pits. He goes. Dave the Harper's followed him in. Both of those only got a fraction more fuel than Tyler had, but neither would be able to make it to the end. SGP is still sitting right behind Steve. He's going for it this time, Gary. I think this is the action point for SGP. He must have saved enough fuel in this first 20 minutes that he's decided, right, Dave pitted, time to get a shift on, and let's open her up.
Yeah, and let's see what pace SGP's got now. He's got the lead. Yeah,
I mean, this could be a painful situation for Steve F1. If Steve F1 can stick with SGP, then we're in for a fantastic battle. The trick will be, can he? As we've got Hay on the boost, he's unlapping himself. Look at the speed. Well, you can't look at the speed as such, but the pace of that car is just overtaking, what, 6-7 cars on the main straight? Holy cow.
Yeah, I mean, is this a Supra or is it an F1 car coming past? Oh my god, but I just hope he's aware of the overspeed and the boost that can easily catch him out under braking.
I just hope he doesn't go so fast that the Mankini on the bonnet gets slipped out of position and shows a bonnet bollock. I've just made that up, I don't know why, I'm sorry, Ray. Don't fire me for swearing. But yeah, I mean, with Hay, I mean, it's an interesting situation with Hay. I mean, it's unfortunate he missed the start, but with the boost, he's still kind of in the race. I mean, he's got massively overspeed. I mean, to put it into perspective from what I saw a moment ago, Hay's lap times are about 8 to 9 seconds faster than everybody else's at the moment with the boost. Now, he's managing to get himself back onto the lead lap of many of the cars, but at the moment I think it's only up to about 7th place, so it'll be interesting to see if he can get back onto the lead lap. Mitch hasn't pitted, he's sitting in 3rd place at the moment. He's now got Dave the Harp and Demon R behind him by a few seconds, so these two pitted and have come out behind Mitch. Mitch managed to get past him on the exit of the pits, but for Demon R and Dave the Harp, they're in a very good situation now regarding Mitch, because they've pitted, they've got fuel, they've got tyres, so they can run all the way to the end and be happy. As long as... Oh, where's... Dave's heading into the pits.
Again? That's interesting. Did he not take tyres before?
Well, he's got fuel, so I'm guessing he didn't take tyres. Okay, that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I don't know if we will get to see where he comes out, but look at this. SGP is opening up that gap. I want to see where Dave the Harp is. Where's he come out? Because if Dave the Harp comes back out in 5th place, I can fully... Yeah, he has. He's there. He's ahead of Tyler. So basically what he's done there is, perhaps he's thought, you know what, I should have took tyres. I've got a bit of a gap. Oh my goodness, that's... Hey, look at the pace.
Oh my god, I mean, I don't even know if that was the Back to the Future car coming past him. He was just so quick.
I don't know. So, yeah, I saw the man close my eyes.
Yeah, he's past P, so he's coming up to P4 now on the back. On the lead lap now, so hopefully let's see if he can try and unlap himself.
Oh, Rich with a nice slide through turn 1. Problem with that though is it's just collected 2 cars into the barrier. Easily done. I mean, turn 1 and turn 2 here are tricky corners, to be fair. They are so deceptively slow, but you always want to go through them fast. It's not always the way. For Hay though, yeah, I mean, he is going to have to start being careful now. I mean, he can pass cars on the straight with ease with the pace he's going to have. He needs to be careful when if he catches anybody up in the corners. For Dave the Harp though, yeah, he probably should have taken tyres the first time he pitted. What he's probably then thought on that next lap is, it's obviously made him think enough that he should have taken the tyres, and he's worked out, okay, he's got enough of a gap to pit, come back out, be in that 5th place. He's going to have tyres, and if anybody ahead of him has a problem, he's there. Bit costly at the moment though.
Yeah, it's very quick thinking for Dave there on a bit of a recovery. But before that happened, and Demon R and Dave was on the back of Mitch, I was interested to see, obviously, Mitch on fuel saving mode and old tyres, and then on fresh tyres which are colder, which we've found on a few of these night races where it takes a few laps to get the temperature in the tyres. So I was interested to see how quick they caught Mitch up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, these tyres are very susceptible to temperature, and it tends to, it's how, because these are road cars, it takes a while to warm the tyres up. Twilight making a move on Jimmy down the main straight. It's going to slot into Bunsell, Slipstream, Fluffy trying to cover off Rich Blues, who's got Bunsell bump drafting him. So Twilight was trying to make the move. He's not going to be able to do it now. Rich now shares the Slipstream with Twilight and then reshares it with Bunsell. It's a clever tactic, is that?
Yeah, very, very clever tactic, and it's always great fun in the pattern. Here we got Hay is absolutely flying now.
He is. I really do not want to see anything hairy coming from him. But yeah, I mean, it's no disrespect to Hay, but he's not 8 seconds a lap faster legitimately than everybody else. Oh, Demonar's just clunked the barrier. That's going to allow Hay a bit of space, yeah, and I think Demonar's letting Hay through. I mean, this is an odd situation. I don't think we've ever had this in the DGT League. It's an odd situation in that normally with a blue flag situation, it would be a case of leaders catching back markers, and back markers would have to get out of the way. But in this situation, the back marker is 8 seconds a lap faster. So the blue flags, I mean, interestingly, what does a blue flag mean, Gary?
Well, blue flag, obviously in normal terms of racing, means that you've got to move out of the way for the faster person, or the person who's in front who's overtaking you, to get out of the way. But obviously in this situation, I don't believe we've ever come across it in the DG2.
We haven't, and you've missed an opportunity there. I want to know if anybody else spotted that when I asked Gary that, it was actually giving the notification of what blue flag meant on the screen, which is...
Oh no, I saw the two geezers flashing it, but
blue flags, and this is the interesting thing, blue flags... Oh, big crash! Is that Rich Blues? I think it might be Rich Blues, and Twilight was involved in that as well. Yeah, blue flags actually means give way to faster cars. Now, in a normal situation, that is leaders catching back markers. Normally, it wouldn't be the other way around. On this occasion, it is kind of giving it. You could say, well, Hay is so much faster that everybody else may just as well sort of stay out his way and let him go. But in all fairness, Hay has to stick to those rules of you're a back marker, you're unlapping yourself, you've got to do it safely. Bunsell giving Fluffy a bit of a bump draft, and it's a wise decision now because he's being hunted down the main straight by a pack of hungry dogs.
Yeah, and I'm just loving the look of the pack tonight. It's looking crazy. 2 wide, 3 wide.
Is he going to get it slowed down? No, he's not. Bunsell into the barrier. Oh, and he's been tagged from behind. That's exactly what was on about. I think it was Gary that tagged him there. That's exactly what was on. We've been on about all this race. One person ends up in the barrier. He can collect other people.
Yeah, it's impossible for the person behind. Massive difference in speed. There's no chance.
Sorry, Gary. Look at this gap that SGP has opened up on Steve F1. If we thought he was toying with him early on, I think he's just shown us that he really, really was. I mean, I don't know, how big is that gap? It's got to be a good 5-6 seconds easily. Yeah,
he seems to have found something really special with this car, and I'd just love to know what he's found. Just such a good rhythm with the car. It's just it just suits his driving style very well, and obviously it's paying off today again.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes a car and a driver. What is it? There was a movie where something like. Oh no, sorry, I'm blending Harry Potter and Need for Speed or something like that. In Harry Potter, the one that chooses the wizard. Well, in DGT League for SGP, the car chooses the winner. Because yeah, SGP in this car, like a marriage made in heaven.
And there's Steve F1, but this looks like Hay is coming in.
Oh no!
That is unfortunate. That is, Hay just collecting Steve F1 there, and obviously not being aware of the massive overspeeds. But yeah, as they say, the haymaker is back. Someone flipping give him another licence. Jesus Christ, that well and truly knocked Steve F1 out.
It could have a bigger effect than would first look 4 wide. Well, I'm going to get back to that in a moment. Bunsell attacking Fluffy, and then we got Twilight, Rich Blues, Jimmy, Formula Gary, Conrad, all in this. This is mental. I don't know what to say. There's too much going on.
4 wide, 3 wide, 2 wide. Who's going to give way? Who's going to make it?
Who's going to be in the barrier? Oh, Rich is in the barrier. Bunsell manages to save it just. He's going to have to be careful now. His tyres are going to be overheated on the rear. Into the barrier he goes again, trying to take that tight line to stay out of the way. Twilight sitting back at this and probably thinking, holy cow. Yeah, nowhere really to go in this one. And they're heading towards the tricky left-right chicane, where if one of them makes an error, it's going to take them all. Ooh, here we go. Oh, there's an error. It's Formula Gary. Oh, it takes Jimmy. Oh dear.
Yeah, it looks like someone's crashing just before Formula, and Yeah, 3 wide crashed here, but yeah, like I said before, and we've mentioned it a few times, if someone has an accident in front, it's absolutely impossible for the others behind to avoid it.
Yeah, it's a little bit like if you're going to be on one of those snow sleds being pulled along by huskies. Yeah, it's great fun, but if one of them has a crap, it's flying in your face, and that's kind of what it's like.
Was that off the cuff, or was it?
No, that was actually off the cuff. You know, actually though, talking about dogs, right? What do you call a dog that can do magic?
I don't know.
A labracadabrador.
Fucking hell. Jesus. There's just no words for these jokes.
No, hey, you say no words for these jokes. All right then. Hang on. What is the least spoken language in the world? Sign language.
Really?
Really?
There's a lot of definite. Careful what I say.
Yes. Okay, the battle in the pack is still going on. Heading towards turn 1. I didn't mean to make that rhyme. Conrad is leading the pack now. But yeah, I mean, interestingly, I've got to say, I've not been able to keep up on which of these guys have pitted, haven't pitted. I was going to mention earlier on that perhaps one of the good ideas to do if you do need to pit around this track would be to pit very late on, because you burn up your fuel, you get faster and faster with a lighter car. If you pit very early and fill your car up, you've got a heavy car, whereas you can pretty much empty your car, and then when you top it up a little bit, you're still kind of light, so you potentially can go faster for longer. However, yeah, the pack going through the left-right chicane much nicer on this occasion, as they managed to get through with only a few bits of sparks against the walls on this occasion. But I will mention though, Gary, we are now into about the 35th minute, and Demonar hasn't been able to catch up to Mick. Oh, Demonar's gone deep. Oh dear.
So deep, yeah. I noticed. Was it the previous race? He was struggling on the tyres the previous race. So I wonder if that's a factor again this race.
It could be. It could well be. Conrad is now behind Fluffy Planet, I believe. Fluffy has he led the pack, I think, at the last race for a lot of it. Managed to survive it to the end, pretty much. But he's going to have to be careful here, because there's at least 5 cars right behind him that all want the position that he's in, and that's what, 5 different lines through the corner we see there. Oh, and that's a new line.
Yeah, and that's a new line. That's a Jamaican line, that is. No pun intended.
Okay.
That's quite good.
It was actually, yeah. Okay, SGP still got a nice healthy gap over Steve F1. Actually, you know, I think SGP has now got that's Hay behind him. Holy cow. So yeah, Hay with the boost, he's now faster. Well, he's been faster than SGP since the start, pretty much, but that's because of the boost. Now, we did see Hay have a bit of an incident with Steve F1. I will say though, I did see that Hayes did stay behind Steve F1 for the remainder of that lap as well, and didn't pass him again until the main straight. But he's going to have to be careful that he doesn't take out SGP here.
Yeah, I heard that Steve F1 was foaming that much. It was like a bubble bath for a jacuzzi, oozing out his windows out to let the windows down, to let all the foam out.
All the foam? You have foam in a jacuzzi? You're doing a jacuzzi wrong, you are. You know, no, I can just imagine it now. You're having a jacuzzi, but it's actually full of like a frappuccino or something with foam on the top. Actually, if it's that colour and it's a jacuzzi, I'm not getting in it. No way.
No, I won't blame you. Yeah, the spelling bee giveaway.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so Formula Gary just scratched the barrier a little bit there. That's allowed Jimmy through. But yeah, we're into the last 3 or 4 minutes of the race now. That incident with Hay and Steve F1 has cost Steve F1 quite a bit of time, and he is going to have to be careful about how close Mitch is to him. But Conrad, he now leads the pack, although the pack is only of one, and that's Bunsell. I'm wondering if a few people have just made a pit stop to top up their tank for the last few laps, because it is really only like 3 or 4 laps short the drivers will be. It's Jimmy's big sideways around the hairpin. Bunsell got a decent run on Conrad.
Yeah, new run now, Bunsell again. So yeah, hopefully the pack will catch back up towards the latter towards the end of the race. Get my words out, and there'll be another mental finish towards the pack again. So this Formula Garage coming in, getting a nice tow as well at the back.
Oh yeah, he is. I thought you were looking at something else for a moment then. Yeah, he is behind Jimmy behind Bunsell. Formula Gary is closing in quickly. Conrad's going to have to be careful. He's going to come under pressure from 3 guys here that are all travelling rather fast in towards turn 1, and Conrad goes defensive early. It's a sure sign of saying please don't go for it, but that'll never stop Bunsell. Bunsell sideways though, and he's got Gary up the inside. Can Gary get it slowed down? No, he can't. Into the barrier he goes, and it's ended up with Bunsell facing the wrong direction. Disaster for Bunsell.
Yeah, and this next, that's unfortunate for Bunsell, but this next right-hander is one of Formula Gary's personal nice ones he's really liked in the race. He's done a few nice overtakes on that one.
Oh, he's got a bit twitchy there though, heading in towards the left-right chicane, but it's better to be twitchy on the way in and a little slower through the corner than too fast in and into the barrier. Jimmy trying to put some pressure on Gary now though, through a medium to high-speed right-hander and another medium to high-speed left-hander. Make sure you don't hit the barrier on the outside of the corner, because if you do, like Fluffy did there, you can end up very slow. But Fluffy's just about got away with it. Is Gary having a little bit of a look up the inside of Jimmy? I couldn't quite tell what that said on the roof of Jimmy's car, but I think it was something to do with toilet roll.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Well, the stocks are back in the supermarkets now, so Jimmy will be alright there. I know he's just stocked up with a bit of shit roll in that car, but it's not going to do his weight very good.
Oh, it won't do his braking any good either, because as soon as he hit the brakes there, it went left, and that's just allowed Formula Gary through. Oh, but Jimmy may get a better run on the exit, so Conrad's still leading. You know what? The leaders have started the last lap of the race. Will these guys get over the line? Sorry, not these. Well, that's SGP and Steve F1. I'm wondering if the pack will get over the line before the 40 minutes is up. Yes, they will. They've got about half a minute to do it, and they're all pretty much there. So yeah, that's going to carry on and continue to be mental for another lap at least.
Yeah, that's what I meant a couple of laps ago, but now it's sort of, the pack's all caught up towards the end of the race, and hopefully it'll be a really close finish between the pack and very exciting.
Yeah, well, 3 wide with
3
2 wide.
Definitely exciting.
Conrad look in his mirror and all he'll see is headlights. There's Fluffy trying to go up the inside, and the 40 minutes are now up, so we are confirmed on the last lap of the race. Oh, Conrad, you don't want to go left there, it goes right. Sorry, I just nearly choked on something then. I don't know what it was. Yeah, so what we got, SGP is not too far away from the final corner, just to let you know. Bunsell, I think it is, leading the pack here now. We're seeing Jimmy closing in on the back of Formula Gary once again. So yeah, SGP is coming around the hairpin. It's been an easy victory in the end for him. Once he got past Steve F1, he's just been absolutely gone. I don't think there's nothing Steve F1 could have done about it.
Yeah, and I think it's worrying everyone now, especially it's looking very good for SGP on the championship now, and congratulations to SGP once again.
Yeah, taking another victory here in the Walker Memorial Trophy. Steve F1 looks like it is going to be second place for him, unless he has a disaster on the straight. Mitch in third place, Demonar fourth. Demonar couldn't catch Mitch. David Hart stays in fifth place. He's looking fairly safe there. Tyler, it'll be sixth place for him as long as he doesn't bin it at the hairpin. And then we got Bunsell in seventh place in the pack.
And then we've got this.
Yeah, so it's a battle for seventh then, as Bunsell looking safe into the hairpin. Or is he safe? I think that was Rich Blues closing in on him quickly. And where has Bunsell gone? I think Bunsell's binned it, or he's been binned, one of the two. Rich Blues now sitting in seventh place. I don't think he's ever finished in seventh place. I think his best finish so far is eighth, but he's now heading towards the finish line, just in front of Conrad, and then behind him it's Fluffy Planet and Formula Gary side by side. But I think Rich Blues is going to get seventh.
Who's going to get it?
Oh my goodness me!
Wow.
That was way too close to call. Bunsell handbraking over the finish line. Twilight is going to cross the line in 13th place, and Hay had already crossed the line ahead of SGP, but unfortunately in 14th place. So he managed to get himself back on the lead lap, and then the next time he crossed the line, the race ended. So unlucky for Hay. But yeah, a bonkers race there, Gary.
Yeah, another exciting race in the GT League, but congratulations to SGP. And I think others, especially Steve F1, Demon R, Mitch and a few of them have got a lot of head scratching to think where can they find that extra pace to be a bit more racy towards SGP in the race, and see if they can try and mix it up in these last few races coming up.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, just to mention, we will be showing all of the drivers' post-race comments on the screen, so feel free to read them as we have a little bit of a waffle on. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right, Gary. I mean, SGP has just been a different class in this championship. And I think probably what makes it even more impressive is the fact that there is boost on. Right, and now that the race is finished, there are a few things that I do want to talk about post-race. I want to talk a little bit about boost. I want to talk a little bit about the street circuits. And yeah, so there's a few things that I do want to talk about that I didn't get a chance to talk about in the race. But with the boost, the fact that SGP was able to pace himself and then at a certain point go, right, now is the time for me to go a little bit faster while still needing to fuel save, he was just able to drive away. Because with the boost on, you would easily imagine that, well, second, third, fourth, everybody behind has the advantage. And this is the crazy thing about it. They all have the advantage, but SGP is still faster. And that's the impressive bit for me.
Yeah, massively impressive for me.
It's so impressive, you can't say the word.
I know, yeah, I'm just absolutely mind blown. Like, I just can't understand, where has he found this pace from? And I think a lot of people are going to be watching SGP in these last few races, just studying what he's doing differently to what they're doing, because at the moment he's just, today he was just toying with Steve F1, and that was it. He just sent it and he was gone into the distance, and that was it, and he just kept his pace towards the end of the race and took the victory once again. Yeah,
I mean, the timing of him making the move on Steve F1, I mean, I don't think it was a coincidence the point he made the move, because Tyler pitted and he was right behind Mitch. Demon R and Dave the Harp then pitted a lap after that, and to be honest, I thought we was going to see Mitch and Steve F1 also pitting. However, I think once Tyler, Demon R and Dave the Harp had pitted, it freed up Steve F1 and potentially Mitch to fuel save and hold on to the positions they were in. Steve F1 had a big enough gap, about 20 seconds, once Demon R and Dave the Harp had pitted, for Steve to be able to go, right, I can fuel save a lot now if I need to. And that may have contributed a bit to SGP being able to pull away a bit more. But at the same time, it's, SGP choosing to make the move straight after Demon R and, well, literally Demon R and Dave the Harp are in the pits, and SGP's making the move into turn one. There's no coincidence there, because had SGP sat behind Steve F1 for another lap and then Steve F1 would have pitted, then Steve would have been closer to SGP than if SGP passes into turn one, pulls away by a couple of seconds, then Steve F1 pits, Steve F1 comes out a little bit further away. So it's definitely, the more you look into it, the more you realise that SGP is being very sneaky this championship with how he is going about his racing, that's for sure. It's not just a look of the draw or an on the cuff strategy that he's doing. He's being very calculated.
Yeah, it's I mean, to win a championship you can't just be fast, you've got to also have it upstairs as well, and but yeah, you've got to think about your strategy as well as being quick to to win a championship. And obviously at the moment he's smashing both of them, well and truly. So
yeah, well, you never know. With a bit of thunderclap, it could his smashing days could be coming to an end, but you never know. We'll have to wait and see. Well, actually, I don't want to see about that one. And Gary has no idea what I'm talking about right now, but don't worry, you can ask SGP yourself, or you can just Google what thunderclap is. Feel free. But you made a comment that was a little bit cheeky, potentially, so I thought I would add that in there. Right, okay. Right, yeah, there's still a couple of bits I want to talk about with the boost. I mean, it's very difficult in a race like that on a street circuit to focus on how people are specifically doing in their battles, because it's so easy to tag a wall, get swamped, and it can massively change a race. It's a bit like a race at Monaco is not a normal race. Right? You could have no overtakes at Monaco and it's not a normal race, because odd things can happen, and it appears to be the same here. But one thing that I will say with the boost, again, it's something I want to mention. I actually wanted to mention this to Hay as well, because I know you've been talking to me a little bit about boost recently. Because Hay was concerned that when he was practicing with us, and there was like say 5, 6, 7 of us, that the boost levels are different to when there's a bigger grid, and that is right, the boost levels are different. But one of the things that I wanted to sort of highlight is that one of the things that the boost does is it allows you to catch up. Now, it's not boost that then allows you to stay there. That's the driver's ability as to whether they can stay there or overtake and go beyond. The boost will help you get there, but it's the driver that has to help themselves stay there. So it's not like with the boost that you can just rock up behind people and then overtake and drive away. That's not how boost works. But I do think sometimes some people look at it and go, well, that's what it is. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a bit like, I mean, okay, if you put yourself in Hayes' boots today, Hay did a lot of practice for this race, and it's unfortunate that he had a bit of a miscommunication with himself.
Very unfortunate.
And he's ended up a lap and a half down from the start. Now, if there is no boost, that's where he stays. He's staying a lap and a half down, and chances are he's actually going to end up more laps down, right? However, because he's got the boost and a lot of it, at least he has an interesting race, where he is the fastest car on the track. He is overtaking people that are laps ahead, and as much as it wouldn't be the experience that he would have wanted, it is an experience. Now, having said that, obviously we saw there was the incident with himself and Steve F1. And I mean, talking a little bit about that, Gary, I mean, at the end of the day, cardinal sin, is it not, being a back marker and hitting a car that's ahead?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not a good position to be in, and it's not just awareness. It's a shame, because obviously it affected Steve S1's race to a certain extent, from the gap behind, and also from catching up at the front as well, which obviously SGP was walking away from it. But that's by the by. But you've got to be, with that much boost, you've got to be really aware of your braking, and the overspeed is absolutely massive. And if you're braking at 200 meters with that amount of boost, you're gonna have to brake probably double that to even make the corner, and especially in a tow. It's just the overspeed difference is enormous. But so yeah, it's very unfortunate it happened, but as I say, it's a learning curve, and I don't think it's ever happened before. Obviously people have been probably lapped before,
you know,
I believe,
I'm thinking actually, something sort of ringing my bell of I'm pretty sure Steve F1 has been on a receiving end of something similar to that in the past, and I think it may have been when we were at a really short track where, yes, people ended up a lap down for a very short period of time when pit stops were being done, and stuff like that. So I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I may just be having deja vu, but yeah, it's if it has happened before, it's only been on one occasion. And I mean, I have had a bit of a look at the incident with Hay and Steve F1, and it is massively unfortunate. I mean, for pretty much every other car he's passed, he's been okay. On that occasion, it would appear perhaps he's got his braking a little bit wrong, and he's tried to take evasive, but unfortunately, the way he's gone to the left, there isn't enough of a gap for his car to get between the wall and Steve F1, and it's ended up with him hitting Steve F1. I mean, at the end of the day, Steve F1's done nothing wrong. Steve F1 knows that Hay is catching up, and he's catching up fast. Steve F1's not going to be blocking him or getting in his way. That's not what he's going to do. Because, I mean, obviously, in a potentially normal situation, if you've got somebody who is a lap down, even if they are faster, then obviously it is cars on the lead lap. If they don't want to get out of the way, they don't have to. Right? It's as simple as that. They don't have to get out of the way for said faster car, because that faster car's a lap down. Now, in the DGT League, because of the boost and the amount of boost that Hay was having, there'd be absolutely no point in anybody holding up somebody in that situation. There'd be no point in somebody sort of taking that stance of, well, look, you're a lap down, so even though we're on a straight for 2 miles, you can stay behind me. I think that'd be a bit of a daft approach to take. So it is a little bit of an odd situation, but I mean, Steve F1's not going to be blocking him or anything like that. And Steve, to be fair, I think has approached that corner thinking that Hay's not going to go for it into the corner, which I don't think Hay was intending to do. Hay's I mean, the interesting or potentially interesting part of that is what happened after that. Obviously, Steve F1 is not going to have been happy about that, and had it have resulted in him losing a position, oh, okay, yeah, definitely not happy. For the remainder of that lap, though, Hay has stayed behind Steve F1. He's made zero attempt to pass him at any point until they're on the main straight. Now, okay, you could say in hindsight it'd have been better off doing that in the first place, but I think some kudos has to be given in that he could have just tried driving past Steve F1 for the remainder of the lap, but he realised, yeah, he knew that what had happened was not right. So yeah, the only thing I would say there is on the main straight, if he'd have actually pushed Steve F1 along, he may have helped him regain some of the time he'd lost in the crash, but there we go. But yeah, a bit of a learning curve for Hay, as we said. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add on that one, Gary?
No, I think just a little bit, just to say it's unfortunate. It's 1 in a million. Obviously didn't realise the time at the start of the race. Obviously will do in future, and it's not like a big beat up on Hay. Excuse the pun, but it's just one of those. It's not going to happen again. We're not just moaning about what's Hay's done and what he's done to Steve F1 in that race. It's one of those. It's not a beat up on Hay. It's just one of those. Learn from it. It's not going to happen again. And then next race you'll probably have a good race, and we'll be saying probably something a bit more positive next time.
Hopefully, talking positives. Rich Blues, 7th
wow.
place.
I know the jammy git. I mean, what's happened there is I think he needs to maybe change the livery and stop smoking the Jamaican hemp, or I don't know what's happened today, but very, very racy. Some great side-by-side action from Rich. Always aware of people around him, and he's took advantage, especially on that last hairpin where he just went straight into P7. People was going wide, whatever, and that's it. He's just got a great overtake. to take P7, and then no one could get the toe to get past him, and that was it. Yep. So yeah, P7, some great points, and yeah, the only way is up.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Let him have that P7, Dave. Let him have that. I wanted the P7.
I'll let him have it for now. Okay, well, in a moment we'll have a look at what that's done to. We'll check out the confirmed race result and see what it's done to the championship standings. Gary, thank you very much for joining us on commentary again.
Yeah, no problem, and apologies for Ray coming in at the beginning. I don't know what happened there. Ray, get out! But I don't know what Ray was doing in that. But yeah, thanks for the invite again.
No worries.
And,
Ray doesn't know what he's doing anyway.
No comment.
Okay, before I do let you go though, Gary, I've got one more question for you.
Is it sexual?
No.
Oh.
What has 2 butts and kills people?
Don't know.
An assassin.
Oh my god.
And for anyone that hasn't worked that out, we'll see if you've worked it out, shall we, Gary? So why is it an assassin?
I forgot the joke now. 2 butts and what? What was it?
What has 2 butts and kills people?
Don't know. Enlighten me.
An assassin.
An assassin. Oh my god.
Well, assassin is spelled in. It's got 2 butts and kills people. Right.
I'd love to know. So, Jackson, is that one of your special ones?
That's a real special one. That is. Although the best one for me is Labracadabrador. You have no idea how difficult that is to say. Right. Gary, thank you very much. And,
no problem, Dave.
And we'll see what that race has done to the championship standings and the confirmed race result. Confirmation then of the result, and SGP takes the victory once again in this championship ahead of Steve F1, who was ahead of Mitch and Demon R. So top 4, same top 4, just in a slightly same order actually. Dave Hart finishes 5th with Tyler 6th, and then Rich Blues with his best finish in the DGT League. So massive congratulations to him and to everybody else on behalf of SRI. What the bloody hell were you doing letting him score that amount of points when SRI isn't here? That's going to cost SRI beers now. But yeah, well done, Rich. Conrad finished in 8th place, so a good points haul for him. Formula Gary in 9th, and Fluffy Planet in 10th, with Jimmy 11th, Bunsell 12th, Twilight unfortunately down in 13th, and Hay in 14th, who managed to get himself back onto the lead lap, but also, as we saw, unfortunately did make contact with Steve F1. And although Hay did conduct himself quite well actually post that incident and post race, given the cardinal sin or the nature of that kind of incident, it would appear the stewards have still deemed a penalty worthy in that situation, and I can kind of understand that. Blue flag situations are ones there where drivers do have to be ever more cautious, and in the current way the DGT League runs, the blue flag situations are very unique really. But yeah, so unfortunate for Hay in missing the start and getting that penalty, but actually for the rest of his race he appeared to be doing it quite well. Thankfully though for Steve F1 it didn't cost him anything in the end. It nearly cost him a position, but thankfully Steve was able to recover and keep hold of 2nd place. For the championship though, that result has made things very interesting up at the top. Mentioned recently as SGP got 1 hand or 2 hand on the trophy. Well, I think he's got both hands, 2 feet, and probably sitting on the trophy as well, just to make sure nobody can take it off him. But he is leading the way on 114 points, and that's 21 ahead of Steve F1. So SGP absolutely storming this championship, potentially one of the most dominant championships in DGT League history. Mitch still holding on to 3rd place, a couple of points behind Steve F1, with Demon R now 3 points behind Mitch. Yeah, I think Demon R will be lucky to get any higher than 4th in this championship. We then got a bit of a jump down to Fluffy Planet in 5th place on 54 points, and he's got Twilight right behind him, 1 point away on 53. While Dave the Harp, a good points haul for him today, puts him on 52, so we've got a right battle going on between those three guys for that 5th place. We've then got another phenomenal battle going on between Jimmy in 8th place on 39 points, Bunsel in 9th place on 38 points, and then Rich Blues in 10th on 30, Gary on 29, and SRI on 26. And see, they're the points that people were on about. SRI is not going to be happy. Rich Blues, with that result, yeah, bursts ahead of SRI, probably stealing his beer along the way. Anyway, so yeah, some cracking battles to go on there to continue on. Anyway, Tyler sitting in 13th place. If he has another good result like he had today, he could find himself in that top 10 pretty quickly. Conrad is finally getting into higher figures of scores. Yeah, so 14th place for him at the moment on 17 points. Jason and Groover, who've been unable to race recently. Jason doing a little bit of flying, as you may have been reading, and Groover a little bit busy at the moment. And then we've got Hay in 17th place. But it's been a very interesting race around the Tokyo street circuits, and one of the things that I also wanted to mention sort of during and post this race was the situation with the street tracks in the DGT League, and some people like them, some people don't like them, but at the end of the day, I think the DGT admins realised that they needed to test these tracks in race, competitive race situations to see how the racing is around them, and that'll give them an idea as to whether they'll be happy going back to them or not. And I mean, I think maybe a few of the purists in us perhaps would prefer to see when a driver makes a mistake and they're going to go wide to end up in the grass or the gravel or massively off the track, and not bouncing off a wall and staying on the track. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts, or is it overpasses and roundabouts on that one? Either way, it's been an interesting showing at the Tokyo street circuit. It's definitely very difficult in the pack, because it may feel like, for example, if you're in the pack and a car comes flying past you and clouts the barrier a bit and carries on going, you might think, well, hang on a minute, that's a little bit unfair. But on the other hand, if they have been hit into that position, then technically they've kind of not done anything wrong, and it'd be a little bit difficult or harsh to penalise them if they've been hit into that position, even though it may appear to be a bit of an unfair overtake. So it's a very it's a very awkward one on occasion, that's for certain. Regarding the blue flag situation with Hay, I mean, we talked about that during the race, and yeah, it's a unique situation, and massively unfortunate that it made contact with Steve F1. Thankfully Steve F1 was able to recover, and it hasn't cost him any positions in the long run, but it is one of those things, when you're the car that is trying to unlap yourself, there is one rule, and that is do not make contact. If you make contact, then yeah, you're in trouble. And it's one of those things, as mentioned in commentary, if a driver that's being caught by somebody on a blue flag decides, actually, I'm not going to let you past, then it is kind of their prerogative, their right to do so. However, as we mentioned in commentary, in this kind of situation, it'd be a bit pointless doing that because the driver's going to be so much faster with the boost. So yes, you might as well just let him go. But yeah, a little bit of a learning curve for Hay on that one, but he's definitely been improving, that's for certain, so keep up the hard work there. Next time, hit the other street. Okay. Right, next up is Big Willow at Willow Springs. No one's going to look forward to that one, but again, it's a track that kind of needs to be tried, and we may regret it afterwards. There's only one way to find out. Come and join us next time in the Dynamic GT.